He pulled off the rarest trick in internet culture. Go from public villain to glossy success story without losing the crowd. Boxing, WWE, podcasting, then Prime on every shelf. Logan Paul looked like the blueprint for how to outgrow your own past. But comebacks have a catch. They only work if the center holds. And the last 2 years have pushed hard on the center. Start with the shine. After the Aokigahara backlash, he did the rounds with apologies and I'm different now discipline. The content slowed down, the brand building sped up, and the story shifted to work ethic, polish, and partners who love velocity. By the time Prime hit its fever pitch moment, it felt like a rebrand with receipts. That's the version people wanted to believe. The hustler who grew up. The one who could spin a scandal into strategy, then parlay strategy into a billion-dollar swagger. Now zoom into the project that rewired a lot of that faith, CryptoZoo. In 2021, it was pitched like a gamified ticket into Web3. Buy eggs, hatch creatures, stake, earn, repeat. It hit the buzzwords like a metronome, then reality showed seams. Coffeezilla's 2022 deep dives brought uncomfortable receipts, stock image issues, code questions, and team members with messy histories. Logan fired back, then walked it back, floated refunds, and in early 2024 rolled out a buyback that let some NFT holders cash out if they agreed not to sue. For supporters, it was finally. For skeptics, it was strings attached. And the court calendar kept turning. In July 2025, a magistrate recommended rejecting Logan's push to offload blame onto co-founders. The through line was simple. The legal snowball didn't melt just because the feed moved on. The parallel story was in a can. Prime's energy line carried 200 milligrams of caffeine in a sleek 12-ounce package and a marketing aura bright enough to double as daylight. Parents saw the same bottles kids were trading like collectibles and asked the obvious question: is this actually for them? In 2023, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer publicly nudged the FDA to take a closer look, pointing to caffeine load and look-alike packaging between the non-caffeinated hydration and the caffeinated energy products. Prime pushed back that labels were clear and the product wasn't for minors. The debate became a global montage: school bans in some places, shelf rush in others, and a feedback loop where controversy sold as many cans as it scared off. Then, lawyers entered from both wings. On the operations side, Bottler Refresco filed a $67 million lawsuit in August 2024, arguing Prime's parent company backed out of a production deal after factories geared up to meet demand. It read like a supply chain soap opera. You promise volume, we build the line. You ghost the purchase orders. At the same time, plaintiffs' firms launched class actions alleging Prime products contained PFAS-forever chemicals and that marketing misled consumers about healthfulness. The claims are allegations, not verdicts, but they added weight to a narrative that the brand was sprinting faster than its guardrails. Even the jersey got dragged into court. In October 2024, Mark Anthony, the company behind Mess by Messi, filed a declaratory action, saying Prime was trying to box out competitors with trade dress threats. Prime pushed back, and headlines loved the shorthand: Logan vs. Messi. It was never really about two celebrities throwing punches. It was about how close two bottles can look before the law says too close. Meanwhile, a separate 2024 lawsuit from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee accused Prime of using Olympic marks without permission around a Kevin Durant tie-in. That one quietly disappeared in January 2025, settled and dismissed. A reminder that some fires are put out off camera. Then came the thing marketing can't outrun: product perception. Lunchly, an affiliated snack kit often bundled into the creator food conversation, faced viral mold allegations in late 2024. The company's line was that lots were USDA inspected and the issues were isolated. Online isolated never travels as far as gross. Even if your label is clean, enough screenshots can bend the curve of public patience. For a brand family built on creator trust, that's a problem no billboard can fix. Strip the headlines down, and you hit the uncomfortable math. In mid-2025, filings for Prime Hydration's UK arm showed revenue dropping from that viral boom 2023 to roughly a third the next year. A collapse big enough to force a strategic review. Profit followed revenue off the cliff. Stateside, trade press and business pages described a noticeable cooldown versus those early sellout days. A brand that felt like a tidal wave in 2023 suddenly looked a lot more like a normal boat in rough water. The market wasn't broken, the hype cycle was. You can front flip over a top rope, but you can't body slam consumer repeat purchase forever.
What does this say about Logan Paul? That depends on what you think influence is for.
If it's pure attention, then the story's still a win. The man keeps eyeballs. But if influence is a promise, trust me, this is good for you, good for your wallet, good for your kids, then the scoreboard looks different. CryptoZoo asked fans to treat belief like a business model. Prime asked parents to treat vibe like a nutrition panel. Lawsuits and filings don't settle moral questions, but they do test the structure. If corners were cut, courts will say where and how much it costs. If corners weren't cut, consumers still vote every time they reach for a shelf. The hard part about a redemption arc is that it never really ends. It's maintenance, not a moment. You can apologize, you can get stronger, you can outwork the meme, and still lose the room if the next big thing is built on sizzle. The fans who forgave once aren't always eager to go 2 for 2. Not because they're cruel, but because trust gets thinner every time it has to stretch. So where does the story go now? In court, first. The CryptoZoo class action and related motions will keep defining responsibility. In operations, Prime's response to supply chain claims, PFAS allegations, and competitor disputes will either harden the brand or dent it further. In culture, the audience will keep deciding if creator-led CPG has staying power beyond the splashy launch. None of that hinges on a single viral clip. It hinges on whether the product and the promises can stand up to boring things. Compliance, QA, labeling, refunds, when nobody's cheering. There's a version of this story where Logan recenters on slow, well-built wins. Better disclosures, cleaner supply lines, safety rails where the hype used to be. There's another version where the carousel keeps spinning, each new venture louder than the last. The difference isn't charisma, it's controls. Hype can sell a first bottle. Controls sell the 10th. For viewers, the real takeaway is simple and annoying. Do the unsexy checks. If someone says, life-changing, read the fine print. If a refund requires you to sign away your rights, ask why. If 2 products look the same, but one has a caffeine payload, stop and read the label. None of that makes for a good TikTok, but it makes for better choices. And for creators watching this as a cautionary tale, here's the part worth stealing. Build the boring stuff first. It's not the thumbnail that keeps customers. It's the warranty. Not the hook, the help desk. Anyone can get attention. Holding it ethically with products that do exactly what you said they do, that's the real flex. The crowd will forgive a lot. It won't forgive feeling like inventory. Logan Paul isn't finished. Internet characters rarely are. But the chapter he's in right now doesn't care about entrances or edits. It cares about what's provable, what's fixable, and what's next. If the work changes, the narrative will change. If it doesn't, the can gets louder while the trust gets quieter. And we all know how that story ends.